Okay, welcome to the January 7th Bristol Borough School Board meeting. We were in executive session in regards to personnel. First, let me say that this meeting will be held virtual, and I have to read this statement. This meeting will be conducted live, but in a virtual format via Zoom technology. As with the previous board meetings, this process is permissible under and consistent with applicable Pennsylvania School Code, Sunshine Act, Bristol Borough School District policy provisions. Public access for participation in a meeting can be accomplished per instructions attached. With that being said, I will ask for a salute to the flag. Hello? Okay, I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and
justice for all.
Okay, Madam Secretary, roll call vote, but before you start, Mr. DeMarcus is excused for tonight's meeting. He had to work. So can you please do a roll call?
Mr. Cullen,
Here.
Mr. D'Angelo. I see you, John. Mr. DeMarcus, excused. Mr. Parolo,
Here.
Mr. Poliafico,
Here.
Mr. Poplawski,
Here.
Mr. Rusin,
Here.
Ms. Paglione,
Here.
and Mr. Ciccoletti.
Here. Thank you, Madam Secretary. Okay, we're going to approve the agenda with said addendums. The addendums are under Part 6, New Business, C and D, and under Personnel, Item B. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Cullen?
I'll second it.
Second, Mr. Rusin. Before we vote, any questions? No questions. Madam Secretary, poll the board.
Mr. Cullen,
Yes.
Mr. D'Angelo. Okay. Mr. Parolo,
Yes.
Mr. Poliafico,
Yes.
Mr. Poplawski,
Yes.
Mr. Rusin,
Yes.
Ms. Paglione,
Yes.
and Mr. Ciccoletti.
Yes. Is Mr. D'Angelo?
He's on mute.
He's muted.
He's muted.
Yeah, I'm
Sorry,
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. I saw your picture there. Okay.
and I did see.
Okay, reports. Okay, reports and presentations. Dr. Minetti?
Hi, good evening, everybody. During our executive session, the board has come to an agreement that students will return to class on Wednesday, January 20th, using our hybrid schedule. The schedule is as it was before we broke for the holidays. So if you have a student and you're not sure what days they would be coming in, it's either Monday, Tuesday, or it's Wednesday, Thursday. Some students will be coming in 4 days a week as they were before, such as kindergarten students, and some students with special needs who will be in the classrooms 4 days a week as they were before. But we will be starting on January 20th. And that is based on the recommendations of our school nurses and the pandemic committee. We will also be returning to practice for our basketball team and our bowling team this coming Friday, which will allow our students to start their season on the 19th, which is their first game. We will not, however, have any spectators at the games at this time. So the students will be playing, but we are not going to have spectators. However, we do have a camera system in place, so the games will be able to be streamed. More information about that will be on our website. I also wanted to let parents know about some of the new programs that we have put in place. Through our grants, we have been able to acquire some new equipment for our schools. For example, through the county grant that we received through CARES, we're able to buy new calculators for the high school. So we have nice TI 84 calculators for our students who are taking advanced mathematics courses at the high school. And we have some new TI calculators for all the rest of the students at the high school level. We already had them in place at the elementary level. We got replacement textbooks through the grants, document cameras for our teachers. We're also putting in place a new program called Mental Health First Aid. And that is a program and training for our teachers in mental health first aid techniques for students who may be feeling some mental health issues and how to recognize those issues and how to properly refer them. So we have that going on. We also purchased Comply software for the district. Comply software will allow us to keep an accurate count of who is doing which trainings for our students, and I'm sorry, for our teachers. So any of the trainings and procedural things that we're doing for COVID, we'll be able to better track all of those things and all the other trainings that we do with our teachers. We're also purchased a lot of sanitizer and PPE, and through our PA Smart Grant, which we received last year, we were able to buy materials and equipment for Project Lead the Way program, which is a computer science program at the elementary school. We also use that money to buy robots and Ozobots, Makey kits, and Sphero robots. So we have all sorts of computer science equipment that's going to be coming in our K-8 level. So we're in the process of bringing that curriculum in, and we're very, very excited to have that happening. So we have some trainings going on with our teachers. So I want to share that with everybody. We are also going to be bringing in something called the Unified Sports Program. And the Unified Sports Program is an offshoot of Special Olympics. And it is an absolutely wonderful program. It's a unified team of students with special needs and students in general education. And they're for grades 9 through 12. And the team practices and plays together, and they have competitions against other school districts in the area. And they actually have like a playoff, and there is a state championship. So the Bristol Borough School District is going to be bringing this in starting in March. So we're looking forward to updates about the unified sports team and how well they're doing. So just, I wanted to share that because it was really special news. Also, the vaccines are starting to roll in. All of our nurses have received the first dose of vaccination this week because they're in the 1A tier of receiving vaccinations. Our employees are in the 1B tier, which means that they will have vaccines available to them starting in February. So we will be rolling out a program for our employees to receive the vaccine in February. And that is what I have to share this evening. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Minetti. Okay, we're going to go on to public participation. Does anyone from the public have any comments? Please state your name.
Gina Bersani.
Okay, go ahead, Gina.
So I'm wondering, and I don't mean to sound harsh or anything. I understand that sports are starting again on Monday and not stopping. But what if, and I'm worried about our special ed kids that are remaining virtual. And it's been hard on everybody, and the kids and the teachers and everybody. But for a parent of a daughter who is in special ed and has all of these services attached to all of these classes and all this bouncing around with virtual, and I get emails that she missed something, but I was never notified, or she's being pulled during academic time, or she needs to work through lunch and all this crazy stuff. And nothing is rectified. I'm worried about these kids and everything that they're missing and how they're going to make it up. But how is sports okay, but these kids can't be back in the classroom?
Well, Gina, we just talked about that. And the thing with sports is we're only allowing them to practice. they need to practice 10 days before they have a game. So they're only be coming into school to practice like we did with the football team. Then they could have their game, I believe it's on the 19th or the 20th. So we had to allow them to practice. But we have a pandemic committee meeting probably 2 times a month. In that meeting, there's 4 board members along with 15 or 16 staff, faculty members, union reps, and the nurses. And we are given data from the nurses concerning the situation here in Bristol Borough, surrounding communities, and what comes from the CDC and what comes out of Doylestown, our public health department. The committee then recommends to the board, okay, what they think they want to do. So the recommendation is that because of the holidays and people,
Dave, your internet's messed up.
adjusting the schedule, adding to, hopefully we never have to go back.
Dave, you cut out for the last minute. So why don't you go back again when you were telling her?
Okay, so what was the last thing you heard, John? Thanks for telling me that.
The CDC and what was
recommendation
recommended from
was-
Doylestown.
Yes, so we get our recommendations from the nurses who are in contact with the CDC, the Bucks County Health Department. We all talk, then the pandemic committee recommends to the board. So the pandemic committee was recommending to the board that, and the nurses had said that they would like to wait until after this bubble was over, that everybody was together. So that date is on the 20th is when the students will be back in the building for full hybrid.
I just don't understand why IU starts on Monday and sports can continue.
The intermediate unit rents those classrooms from us. Okay, so they make the decision when they want to bring the students into the building. We believe there's between 70 and 80 of those students. They rent the space from us. We sanitize the rooms. So that's the intermediate unit's call. As far as the 2 sports that are going on, we did let the football team practice. So we decided that we would have to let the basketball team and the bowling team practice. As far as limiting the number of spectators, because football was outside, we are going to let the basketball, there'll be no spectators. At the next board meeting, we'll make that decision. We'll see how the numbers are. We'll see what the pandemic committee recommends.
Yeah, but those kids are in full contact with each other and the kids in the classroom are socially distant.
We understand that, yes.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to understand. I'm a nurse too,
Yes.
and I get it.
So you understand that the responsibility of the board is that we have to protect over 1,400 students and 250 people, our staff. And we get weekly updates on how many of our employees, have it and contact trace. All of that comes into play with our decision.
Oh, okay. Okay. I mean, these kids are in super contact with each other. I'm not trying to argue. I'm just trying to understand. I'm just worried about these kids.
Well, we have a plan that they have to follow. We had to approve back in July. We had to approve a health and safety plan. That's when the pandemic committee was formed, and we also had to approve a health and safety plan for sports. So all of the coaches, the athletic director, they know what they have to do for these students that are participating in sports. We got through the football season with no incidences. And it wouldn't be fair to not let them practice. They're only practicing now. We're not letting spectators in. We're not letting anyone into the gym.
Is there a number of cases that were contracted during class time?
I'm not sure of that. We're not giving, because of the HIPAA, we only ask that we know how many employees have it, how many are in quarantine.
Okay. I'm worried about those kids, of course, but, and I'm worried about with all of these services. I just don't know. Our kids are missing out on their services, but they're missing out on their education time too. It's just a mess.
Yes.
It's a mess. And
Yeah.
I just don't know how that's all going to be made up, or.
Well, we're doing the best we can. Nobody has an answer to this because we're all in the
And I
same.
understand. I'm not trying to argue. I'm just trying to understand.
Yes, you understand, you're a nurse, and take it from me, from someone who had the COVID and spent almost 7 days in the hospital. This is a bad thing. And, you know, with being a board member, we have, like I said, 1,600 students and personnel that we have to keep in mind.
No, I understand. Are these football players and basketball players wearing masks during practice?
There's a protocol. They will have to wear masks. There's a whole protocol that they have to go through. It's a whole health and safety plan for sports that was approved, was set up by the pandemic committee, approved by the board back in September. There's a whole plan. I think, Dr. Minetti?
Yes, they have to wear masks throughout practice.
Is that plan, could the public access the health and safety plan for sports?
I believe it's on the website, and I have the updated one for winter sports that I sent out to the board, and I'll make sure that's up on the website as well.
All right. And the IU starts on Monday. But you know, we're all taxpayers here in the borough, and you know, and our kids can't be in.
Well, that's the IU call. That's the IU's call. They rent the rooms from us. We just sanitize the room. They could, you know, their students, if they want to bring them in ahead of time, then that's on them. We just cleaned the space and you know, collected the rent for the classrooms. But our pandemic committee, along with the nurses, this is the recommendation.
I don't get it. I don't know. Is anybody else
Anyone else
on my page here?
No, thank you for your comments. Anyone else from the public?
But
This is
Dave,
Lori Morgan.
I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead, Steve. You have something to say, and then I'll go back.
I was just going to tell Gina there that I think there's like 70 kids, but I think they have like 13 rooms, don't they, Dr. Minetti? I mean, so they're pretty well spread out in those rooms, right? I mean, the IU.
They are. They don't have any more than 5 in a room.
Our kids, what do we have? 8? Something like that? 9. We have 9.
We could have up to 15.
Somebody's holding up 8 in the sign there.
Yeah, we do have, it depends on what classroom it is that you're talking about and what level. There are up to 15 students in a class.
Yeah, I'm speaking on behalf of my daughter's special ed class. In her class, there's only 9 kids.
There in the special ed classes, there are about 8 or 9.
Right. So that's why I'm just trying to understand why they can't be in when there's only 9 of them.
We've
Can I jump in here, Gina? One of the things that we talked about was this. It really wasn't a choice where we were going to, the choice would be that we wouldn't let the kids practice and they would not be able to start practicing until the 19th. And that would effectively wipe out the season. It wasn't like that we were trying to bring them back and excluding, you know, again, the special ed. The only other choice I think that was on the table for me was, well, if we don't, you know, not going to let anybody come back, not let our kids practice, and that would have been basically destroyed the whole season because they would have missed. So they would have had to start practicing on the 19th, 10 days away. They would have missed possibly 6 games, and the season is really limited. So it wasn't like that we were saying we're going to bring everybody back, which is really Monday, right? The 11th. So that was my thinking. I think that was the consensus of the board, that we're, you know, it's not like we're trying to bring these guys back to the exclusion. The only reason why we made the exception for the athletics was because of the PIAA rule, which they have to practice for 10 days. And if we decided to not bring them back until the 19th, they would have had to forfeit or cancel 6 or 7 games.
So is it more important for sports than academics?
Well, we're not saying that, right? I mean, this is just a function of that there was a schedule. So the question would be, well, then what's the point of even playing? I'm just telling you where I came from, and a lot of other ones, that, you know, the only exception we're making is to let them practice. But I don't think there was any plans to bring anybody back prior to the day after Martin Luther King Day, which seems to be the protocol that most other school districts are following. Is that correct, Dr. Minetti?
It really does vary throughout the county. We have some school districts like Marsville that aren't coming back until April.
Right.
And they have other school districts like Palisades that have been live the entire time. So it really does just depend. Our numbers in the lower part of the county are very high. If you look at the numbers throughout Bucks County, the numbers in this lower part of the county are really off the chain and much higher than in the upper part of the county. So I think every school board has a very tough decision to make as far as when to bring students back, because you're looking at the safety of not only the students, but all of the employees as well. So, you know, it's just not an enviable position for anybody to be in. And it's certainly not something that people signed up for thinking that, well, I'm gonna have to make decisions during the pandemic. So I think everybody's just doing the best they can and trying to maintain the safety of our students and our faculty members.
Okay, I'm just having trouble wrapping my head around it. You know, Neshamny's in, Council Rock is in, they're huge and they bus kids. I mean, they're like busing in bulk to school. I don't understand it. I'm not trying to be disrespectful and argumentative. I'm just trying to wrap my head around it.
Okay, I believe Dory had asked a question. Dory? Thank you, Mr. D'Angelo and Dr. Minetti. Dory, did you have a question?
My name is Wynn, and
Hi, Wynn.
And Wynn is here tonight. He is one of our learning support kindergartners. He spends time in Mrs. Saxton's room, and he spends most of his time with Mrs. Bannon. He has 2 extra chromosomes. He loves unicorns, and you want to be a worker when you grow up, right?
Mm-hmm.
He has big plans. And so we're very heartbroken to learn tonight that our athletes, and we do respect what they do, will be back and practicing before he has the opportunity to have physical therapy that he needs, occupational therapy. His sports seasons might be as glamorous as everyone else's. He valued greatly from Bucks County Challengers flag football. He won't be able to do junior Firebirds basketball this winter season, but we need to get these kids back in the classroom. The repercussions kids like Wynn are going to deal with are going to impact far beyond one sports season.
I agree.
Anyone else?
Excuse me, can I make a comment regarding how many kids are in the classes? I just want to let everyone know there might be 9 or 10 kids in the classes, but there's also in the one class, there's 10 kids, but there are 5 adults also. So that's 15 people and 5 of them are adults. So.
Okay, who's speaking?
April.
Hi, I would like to speak, Kathleen Loschel.
Yes, Kathleen, go ahead.
Hi, thank you for your time. I would like to know how it is that private and Catholic schools are in full time in the lower levels, but we are not.
Well, Kathleen, you heard what Dr. Minetti said. We have to gather all the information. You know, the lower end of the county is kind of high with COVID cases and people quarantining. The nurses do once again Zoom in with the Bucks County Board of Health and the CDC. And the decision by the board is to wait until after the holiday bubble and then resume back full virtual on the Wednesday, which I believe is the 20th.
Yes, and I completely understand that, and I respect everybody, and anyone who knows me knows that. But I have a son that's in private school, my younger son, and they're doing a heck of a job at it. And we have a private Catholic school right here in Bristol who is in school, to my knowledge, in the lower grades. Please correct me if I'm wrong. So how can they do it utilizing our school nurses, but we can't?
Excellent point.
Our tax money pays for these nurses and they're going to the Catholic school. So, I mean, Conwell Egan has been in 2 days, 1 week, 3 days the next, you know, and so on and so forth. Like,
Kathleen?
I feel like we have an advantage in a small school district to try to pull through this. And as I had emailed Kelly, I know, a letter, and it's very heartfelt. Like, statistically in our town, we have a lot of low income students and families. And I feel like this is doing a disservice to them. While other districts in Bucks County have been in, they were in, you know, in November and December. And I just feel like this is a disservice as a taxpayer. And I have a special needs daughter, and she is in special ed, and she's struggling because and I have a son, and all of you know who he is on basketball, although injured. And I would prefer academics over athletics. And that's coming from a mom that has, a successful athlete. And this is no disrespect to any of you, but I understand where Gina's coming from. I understand where other people are coming from. I feel like these kids have to be back to school. Like, Bristol is a joke to many places in our county. And here we are, and I feel like it's a disservice to our children. And I'm sorry, that's how I feel.
But let me just back up. You made a comment about the nurse at St. Mark's.
Yes.
Okay, the nurse at St. Mark's is in place there with COVID money. It's paid by the COVID money for the year.
How about previous to COVID?
Previous to COVID, our nurses would have to go there 2 or 3 times a week for a few hours, Dr. Manini. We have to cover the Catholic schools.
Yes, we're legally required to cover the Catholic school.
Okay, and that's fine, because all children deserve that. But I want to know how St. Mark's has been full-time this entire year without any problems, and our children didn't start on time, they're not in now, and then we're just going to go to hybrid when we have a lot of disadvantaged and challenged children that need help. How come it's fair for the private and Catholic schools?
Well, as far as going to hybrid, instead of bringing everybody back, we're following the recommendations of the CDC that students are to be 6 feet apart from one another. And we can't bring everybody back and have them be 6 feet apart from one another. So
are they 6 feet apart in sports?
I can't, well, I'm just speaking about the academics. I can't speak for the Catholic school and what they have in place. I'm sure they're doing a very good job, but those are the recommendations that we're following, which is why we're on hybrid. And believe me, we all would really like to have the kids back, all of them full time. We understand your concerns, and I'm a parent, and I have 3 stepchildren who are in 7th grade, and hybrid is a struggle, and being virtual is a struggle, and I see it in my own children. But the board is trying to weigh the best they can for the students, and to meet the needs of the kids as well as keep them safe. So that
I completely understand, and this is not being disrespectful whatsoever. I've never even asked any questions, but has anybody taken a look at the Catholic school plan, or maybe toured them and see the spaces that they're utilizing and how they're doing? Are we utilizing the gyms, the LGI room? Say this continues in September. Are we going to renew the contract with the IU, or are we going to take our classes back so that we can get our children back in there, or are we going to continue to rent the space out?
Renting the space out, Kathleen, we have available classrooms. I'll give you a brief story. The 3rd floor was renovated totally by the funds from the IU, which was over I don't know, $150,000, $200,000, because we understand that new homes are being built around us in our community. The IU pays us rent for those classrooms. If we ever needed any of those rooms back in September, we just don't sign the contract. So currently, we probably receive about a little over $250,000 from the intermediate unit for classrooms that we're not using now, but we could take those back at any time if need be.
Okay, so then
$250,000
continues-
goes
I'm sorry.
into our budget from the intermediate unit.
Okay, then that's great. But in September, if this is still going on, are we going to continue that, or can we utilize that to bring these children back to school full time? Because it's everybody. The teachers are struggling. You're struggling with these decisions. The parents, everyone's struggling. We understand that. We're all on that level. But when you have a Catholic school in town doing it and Catholic schools all around us doing it and private schools, it's very disheartening here in our town. And I'm sure that other people agree and may understand this as well.
I don't know. I don't know what Catholic school is doing, Kathleen. I don't know how many students are in the building. But once again, the decision was made for with the COVID money. The board agreed that we should send a nurse there because those students are also in our community. And
Absolutely,
for our nurses, yes. And we also have 3 or 4 additional nurses in case things were to go bad and one of our nurses were to be sick. So we have on-call nurses. We're trying, I know you understand, we're trying to do the best we can, but we have to keep almost 1,600 students and faculty and staff, in mind.
No, I do. And I understand that. And this is not argumentative or being disrespectful. I'm just asking
not, Kathleen. I appreciate your comments. I do.
And I will say, as a sports parent, had Nicholas been able to play this season, he would not be. Okay. And I say that, and it's probably a shock to many, but he would not be playing because the truth is, even with masks on, they are up against one another all the time. So I do feel education is more important than sports. I feel like whatever we need to do to get these kids in the school full time, even at the K through 8, whatever we can do. Again, no disrespect. I like all of you. And I just hope that you don't look at me differently for speaking up.
No, Kathleen, like you said, as a mother making a decision for your children, we have to look at that too and take it from someone that, had a bad case of the COVID. You don't want this.
No, and I know, and I deal with the Department of Health every day owning my own business. I have to report to them weekly. I get all these reports, but in Montgomery County. And I just feel that other schools are doing, a lot more, and it's very disheartening. On that note, I'm going to leave, and I wish everyone good health. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you for your comments. Anyone else have any comments?
This is Jesse Walker. Can you hear me? Hello?
Can hear you.
I guess just to follow up on that, we don't have enough teachers.
I keep losing my connection. Is there any other comments?
Jesse Walker, I had a comment. I don't know if you guys.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Jesse. I lost my connection there. I can hear you now. Go ahead.
I guess with students, or with additional classrooms, the problem is we don't have enough teachers. So you could have spare classrooms, but you need to be able to reduce the class size, and that you need more teachers for. So I guess to just follow up with being discussed previously, that I don't know, from a lay person's perspective, I think to me that seems like an issue. Like you could have a bunch of open classrooms, but then you got to hire a bunch more teachers to, reduce the class size and everything.
True. It's true, Jesse. We do have additional classrooms that we, in case those homes, there's more students coming into town. If we needed the classrooms, probably we may have 15 extra classrooms between the 2 schools, but what good are the classrooms if we don't have the faculty? Good. That's a good point.
We don't have a budget to hire 15 new teachers full time. It'd be great to.
No.
But that would raise our costs and raise our taxes in town tremendously, which, it's a big challenge.
This is a challenge for all school districts. And if I know you heard what Dr. Minetti said, you have some school districts that aren't going back till April. We were probably one of the first school districts that actually went back, with the hybrid back in late September. We're trying to continue that. But once again, it falls on our shoulders and our watch to protect everyone. And we gather all the information we can from the nurses in the county. I know I keep saying this, but it's not easy for us to make a decision, considering that you have 1 or 2 COVID cases in the school. Now you're closing classrooms, you're closing entire sections of the school. That could lead into a total shutdown, which we have not experienced. And hopefully we don't.
Hey, Dave, this lady April was talking, then she got cut off. Maybe she went.
I'm sorry. I lost my connection. April? Hello, April?
Hello?
Oh, go ahead, April. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. It was earlier. I wanted to respond because some of the ladies were saying about the class sizes are small, like 10 or 9 in a class, but they're not counting how many teachers and aides are in each of those classes also. There's 5 adults in that class that has 10 students. 5 in the one class that has 10 is what I'm saying. So I just wanted to say that's not safe for 15 people to be in a classroom like that.
I'm not sure of the numbers, but I know that the principal, the assistant principal, and the superintendent keep a good eye on that. Let's keep in mind the job that they have done. We have not really have to shut down the schools or close entire sections or classrooms since the end of September. That is in part due to them, not me as an individual, but that's part of their job to do that, to monitor those things. This is tough for everyone. Anyone else from the public?
Yes, if you don't mind, may I say something?
Yes, your name, please.
My name is Valerie Hamilton, and I'm with Children of God Educational Services.
Okay, Valerie.
I have approximately 30 plus students from the borough who are with me during the day for virtual learning. And I promised them that tonight I would speak on their behalf and express how they feel. And I gave them the chance to do so. And all my children desire with all of their heart to go back to school. That's what they told me to say. Tell them that we just want to go back to school. So I said I would do that. I'm doing my part. I respect all of you and what you're doing. Bristol has amazing teachers, not just amazing, loving, nurturing teachers.
Agreed.
Administrators, and I appreciate them. Our children appreciate them. The food service program has been feeding all of my children since day one. Jennifer White and her team, amazing. And our kids appreciate it. We're right there. We're right on Mill Street, 414 Mill Street, actually. And
Okay,
I just want to say thank you.
Valerie?
I'm sorry?
Valerie?
Yes.
Yes, you say that you have 30 students of ours. I'm not familiar. Can you just tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I'm on Mill Street, 414 Mill Street. I have 30 of your children.
Is that the daycare on the corner there?
I am not the daycare on the corner. I'm Children of God. Children of God has been around since 2012.
Okay.
I've been serving Bristol Borough students since then.
Okay, so students come there after school?
And before school.
Okay.
Now, I had to open all day to these students because their parents are essential personnel. We've been open throughout the entire pandemic so that essential workers could do their thing. And that wasn't just nurses, and we appreciate our nurses, our professionals, but there were cashiers, there were people who weren't paid hazard pay for what they were doing. And they were working, and we were open for that. But the whole reason I just got on was to share what my children wanted, which was they want to go back to school.
Well, Valerie, as a healthcare worker, I appreciate what you do to keep our healthcare workers from going to work when they are in need and, in stress now because they're contracting the COVID too. And it's tough for them because they go to work every day and don't know if they're going to bring it home to their families. But I think that's a great job that you're doing. Just one quick question I have from you. So you have protocols in your facility, mask and keeping them apart?
We follow CDC guidelines.
Yes.
As we're supposed to. It's difficult, absolutely. Children have barriers, but they're children.
Yes.
They're children. We give room. There are some people on this line right now who know how we operate, who I have their kids who are special and amazing and lovely, and I'm glad to see them online, who know what we do. But yes.
It is great. And the only reason that I asked you that question is that you know what a difficult time it is. There's only you that has to look at that and put in your protocols. So I guess you understand what we have to do too.
Absolutely, which is why I'm very fluid with my students. But I said I would just speak on their behalf, just so you had an idea, because I understand like their complaints come to me and I have a fabulous team and I appreciate all the work they do. But I just wanted our students, the students from Bristol Borough, to know that I heard them. I told them I would share with you. So I'm doing what I've asked, what I've been told to do for the kids.
Valerie, can I ask you a question?
I don't know who's speaking. I'm sorry.
My name is Gina Bersani. I'm sorry. So these 30 of our kids that you have, are they doing online school? Are they virtual schooling with you as well when they're with you throughout the day?
They are. They are. It's very challenging.
How are you doing that? It's challenging.
It's like extremely challenging. We have I have an amazing team. It's not just one and done where the kids are just right in front of the computer. No, the teachers are pulling out papers and getting packets and pencils and markers and questions and gym, who knew? Lunch 4 different times.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. Have you had any positive COVID cases since you started?
HIPAA, you can't share. I can't tell you what has happened, but no.
Yes. Yeah, we're aware of that. Okay, let's go back to public participation. Anyone else from the public? Anyone else from the public? Okay, I'll close public participation, but if I missed anybody, we'll go back to that at the end of the meeting, I promise, okay? So let's get on with the routine monthly business. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of November 12th and December 3rd, 2020 meeting. Approve the list of bills for December 2020 and January 2021. Approve the treasurer's report for November and December of 2020.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Cullen, any questions? Madam Secretary?
Mr. Cullen.
Yes.
Mr. D'Angelo.
Yes.
Mr. Parola.
Yes.
Mr. Poliafico.
Yes.
Mr. Poplawski.
Yes.
Mr. Rusin. Mr. Rusin.
Yes. Sorry.
It's okay. Miss Paglio.
Yes.
And Mr. Ciccoletti.
Yes.
Motion
Okay,
passed.
under that item passed 8-0. Thank you, Madam Secretary Jen. Under new business, item A.
Mr. Chairman, approve to set the tax collector's compensation for the next 4 years as required by the Pennsylvania School Code that states the compensation must be set before the primary election, 2022 through 2025, $38,000.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Cullen, any questions?
Okay.
Madam Secretary, poll the
Mr.
board.
Yep. Mr. Cullen,
Yes.
Mr. D'Angelo,
Yes.
Mr. Parolo,
Yes.
Mr. Poliafico,
Yes.
Mr. Poplawski,
Yes.
Mr. Rusin,
Yes.
Ms. Paglione,
yes,
and Mr. Chicoletti.
Yes, motion carries 8-0. Item number B.
Mr. Chairman, approve the attached resolution indicating that the board will not exceed the index of 4.1% relative to the 2021-2022 budget. Resolution is attached.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Mr. Cullen, any questions? Madam Secretary? Ken?
Yep. Mr. Cullen,
Yes.
Mr. D'Angelo,
Yes.
Mr. Parolo,
Yes.
Mr. Poliafico,
Yes.
Mr. Poplawski,
Yes.
Mr. Rusin,
Yes.
Ms. Paglione,
Yes,
and Mr. Chicoletti.
Yes. Item C, Ms. Paglione?
I'm going to refer this to Mr. Truelove.
Thank you, Ms. Paglione. Item
You're
C
welcome.
would be worded as follows. Motion to direct the school district administration, including but not limited to the business manager and the solicitor, to send written notice to M&M Lawn Care of the termination of the contract pursuant to paragraph 8 of the general contract conditions for grounds maintenance services.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Truelove. So we have to vote on this. A yes vote would mean to terminate the contract. So any questions? Madam Secretary?
Mr. Cullen,
Yes.
Mr. D'Angelo,
Yes.
Mr. Parolo,
Yes.
Mr. Poliafico,
Yes.
Mr. Poplawski,
Yes.
Mr. Rusin,
Yes.
Ms. Paglione,
Yes,
and Mr. Chicoletti.
Yes, motion carries 8-0. Item D, Ms. Paglione?
I'm going to refer this to Mr. Truelove again.
Thank you,
Okay,
again, Ms.
thank you.
Paglione. The motion would be to authorize the advertisement for a request for proposals for grounds maintenance services to begin in March 2021 and to conclude no earlier than February 2022. So this would be to basically to get a successor agreement to the one that you just terminated with the current lawn care service.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Truelove. Any questions?
Dave, do we have to have a second before we vote?
Yeah,
We do, you seconded. Mary Jane, I believe you seconded, didn't you?
No, but
I said
I will.
the C.
Yes, okay, yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Steve. You're going to second that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
Ready?
any questions? Okay, Madam Secretary.
Mr. Cullen,
Yes.
Mr. D'Angelo,
Yes.
Mr. Parolo,
Yes.
Mr. Poliafico,
Yes.
Mr. Poplawski,
Yes.
Mr. Rusin,
Yes.
Ms. Paglione,
Yes,
and Mr. Chicoletti.
Yes, thank you, Madam Secretary. Okay, under personnel, item A.
Mr. Chairman, approve the appointment of Joe Kaufman as matron at the rate of $10.46 per hour, no benefits, as per the negotiated agreement for the 2020-2021 school year.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Cullen, any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Mr. Rusin and then Mr. Poliafico, I believe. Go ahead, John, you're first.
Yeah. I get, why do we need another matron? Don't we have 4 people that's hanging on right now that we were going to furlough and we decided to keep? Couldn't they?
John, I think these are the additional people for COVID only. These are the extra people that we call in when we need them. These are the people that are going to clean the classrooms, you know, the sanitation. So we have a whole list. These are paid for from the COVID money. That does not come out of the budget. So we're always looking for substitutes because some people only want to work 2 or 3 nights a week. I believe we have them come in 2 or 3 hours.
All right.
Probably, I don't know how many we have now, but they were all hired under the COVID money.
All right.
Mr. Polyafco.
Yeah, that was my question. Is it just an on-call type of situation and part-time, correct?
I don't believe it's an on-call because some of the people that we have working are cafeteria workers who only could work a few hours because they can't exceed 40 hours. We have to pay them. So sometimes they say, well, I only want to work 2 or 3 days a week. So I'm not sure where Mr. Gatto will be placing Mr. Kaufman.
Is there a limit to, Dave, you're cutting out again. Dave, you're cutting out again. But
Oh, I'm sorry. Where did I leave off there?
I didn't hardly hear anything. Just start all over.
Okay, so I'm not sure where Mr. Kaufman will be placed. We're always looking for people to fill in. I know we have some cafeteria workers that work now for us, but they can't exceed the 40 hours or we'll have to pay them overtime. But sometimes they don't want to work a full week. They only want to work 2 or 3 days. These are the essential people when we go back that will be cleaning, deep cleaning after the room is sprayed, wiping every desk down, the doorknobs, that type of thing. It is COVID money that these employees are hired under. And it's only during this period, now until June.
Is there an amount of hours that he's going to be working or that's scheduled to work or?
I don't know that, Mr. Rusin, because once again, we have a handful of workers who let Mr. Gatto know, well, I could work only 3 days this week. I could only work 2 days. So he's the one that puts the schedule together. I don't believe they work more than 3 or 4 hours.
All right.
These are the deep cleaners. Any other questions?
Yeah, you answered that question for me, but aren't we at the last meeting? Aren't we about at our limit with the money from COVID?
So Jeff, the last grant doesn't expire till the end of June, and that's what this is covered. Like the nurses that are helping at St. Mark's, custodial service, extra personnel for aides and bathrooms. That's all covered from till the end of June.
So you
Chris,
have enough money. You have enough money in the pot to cover that.
Correct.
Okay, great. That's great. I'm good.
Chris, Jeff reminded me of something there. Are we okay with the nurses? We have enough available nurses, enough substitutes, because if the nurses are going to be tending to giving out the COVID vaccine, I believe that the way that I haven't had a vaccine, but I believe that after you give the individual the vaccine, that you have to monitor that person for 10 or 15 minutes. So we'll speak at the pandemic committee meeting about that. But I know we have some substitutes. I don't even know if they were even utilized. But we do have enough funds if that comes down to our nurses having to give the COVID vaccine and then monitor those individuals. Correct?
Yeah, they're supposed to be monitored for 15 minutes. I'll jump in. I'll volunteer.
Guys, there's a message in the chat from somebody.
I don't know. I'm not sure if that is allowed under the protocol. I appreciate that, but can you do me a favor, Gina?
Yes.
Gina? Yes.
Yep.
Once again, go to the school and put in an application for relief nurse. And if that's the case, then I know that our nurses are going to be busy. I'm not sure which shift you work, but any additional help, I can't, I can't guarantee anything, but God forbid if one of our nurses gets sick, or if they're giving the COVID vaccine to the employees, we may need to bring in extra help. So thank you for that offer. But
thank you, Gina.
Dave, I got another question.
Thank you. Listen, I don't think we got an answer from Chris as far as the funds available.
The funds are available to cover the matrons, yes, till the end of June.
Also, Dave asked about the nursing.
Yeah, the nurses are there. I thought he was asking if additional nurses for substitutes are on call, and they are. We have like 3 or 4 additional nurses.
But I think he was, okay.
The
David,
answer is
you covered
yes,
it.
Jeff. We have the money's available, yes.
Okay.
David, I got one question referring to Kathy Larshall's question to you. Does the nurse at St. Mark's go to the pandemic classes or pandemic meeting that you have? Is she in attendance?
No, she is not, John, because she really isn't an employee of the district. Okay, so all our employees, all of our staff is at the pandemic committee meeting.
Yeah, because I was going to question you on that. If she's getting the same information that our nurses are getting, how come they're back in school? I mean, that was my question.
Like you said, those children are in our community too, so we're protected there. But the nurses do communicate. But she's an employee of ours, but she's at that school. She basically runs that school.
All right. Thank you.
Maybe if she's available, you have a good point. Maybe we could extract some information from her too. But I know that the nurses, I believe that our nurses are in contact with her. Because if she's out, then, that's where we go back to the substitutes if one of the nurses are out.
Yeah, because that looks like an issue that we're not on the same page. And that, if she attended that meeting and got the same information as your nurses, that maybe it wouldn't be an issue.
Well, keep in mind, John, that they're not governed, that's the Catholic school. They have to have a safety plan according to the state. They have to approve that. So their plan could be a little different than ours. They're a different entity.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, but that's a good point. Maybe we'll reach out to her and see how things are going there. That's more information that we have. Good point.
Yeah.
Okay, so we were on item A. Questions? Any more questions? We had a motion by Mrs. Paglione, second by Mr. Cullen. Madam Secretary.
Okay. Dave.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Now, while we're on this subject, someone has sent a chat, and here's what it is. It says, I'm a laid off cafeteria worker and I wasn't offered to work doing cleaning. And I am available and I've been checking in for work with Jen. So that's just a communications problem. Perhaps somebody needs to reach out to her.
Yeah, just go, go put an application in. I know that we're still delivering food. If you could hear me, I know that our staff is still delivering food every day, not delivering it, but preparing the meals. They're putting out a lot of meals. Dr. Minetti, how many meals would you say that our staff is putting out every day?
We probably put out about 100 to 150 meals a day, depending on, because sometimes, and we'll do double or triple meals sometimes, so.
Okay, all right, so those girls are coming into work every day and working. Okay, so.
Right, well, what I'm saying to Andy is, I think there's a misconception. When we hire matrons and all, it is really kind of like a substitute list. And we're not hiring them for 40 hours a week. We have a list of people. They don't even work the same hours every week. So my point is, this is like someone that is one of our employees in the cafeteria that was laid off for whatever reason. And if there is work for a matron or something else, I would hope that George would reach out to and Jen and give this person, just like we hired Mr. Kaufman, a chance to do any other work that we have while she's being laid off.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. We're always looking for some additional help, especially now that we'll be returning to school. Okay, so we'll reach out to that person. Chris, do you know the individual?
Yeah, she can fill out an application or just get in contact with Mr. Gatto.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, so let's go back to item number A under personnel. Second, and we had a motion by Mrs. Paglione, second by Mr. Cullen. Madam Secretary.
Mr. Cullen. Am I on?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes.
Mr. D'Angelo,
Yes.
Mr. Parola,
Yes.
Mr. Poliafico,
Yes.
Mr. Poplawski,
Yes.
Mr. Rusin,
Yes.
Miss Paglione,
yes,
and Mr. Chicoletti.
Yes, motion passes 8-0. Item number B.
Item B, Mr. President, I make a motion to extend the CARES Act payments that expired on 12/31/2020 through January 31st, 2021, 1 month.
Mr. D'Angelo, could you elaborate on that a little bit?
The CARES Act expired on 12/31, and there was cases where we had employees that, we were paying even though we didn't have anything for them to do and they didn't come in. And being as it expired on December 31st, we agreed as a board that for another month, it's not a big population of employees. And it basically deals with if any employee would have to either got the COVID virus and have to miss work, or if they were exposed and were forced to quarantine. So what we have agreed to is continue the policy that we were doing when we first approved it, and that would be to pay people. And again, it's really not a big amount of money, and it's not a big population of people. So the board has agreed that we would do it for another month and then revisit it then.
Thank you, Mr. D'Angelo. Perfect. Any other questions? So I have a motion by Mrs. Paglione, second by Mr. Cullen. Madam Secretary.
Mr. Cullen,
Yes, yes.
Mr. D'Angelo,
Yes.
Mr. Parola,
Yes.
Mr. Poliafico,
Yes.
Mr. Poplawski,
Yes.
Mr. Rusin,
Yes.
Miss Paglione,
yes.
and Mr. Chicoletti.
I vote yes. Okay, I'd like to recognize Mary Agnes DeChico, the IU representative. Hi, Mary Agnes.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Happy New Year to everyone. Just a quick comment. I wanted to mention how excited I was to hear Dr. Minetti mention at the start of the meeting, the Unified Sports Program. It sounds like a really incredible program, something that I am familiar with, and just really happy to hear that will be coming to the district in March. So thank you.
Thank you, Mary Agnes. Thank you. Okay, our next board meeting will be held on February the 4th, 2021. I'm just going to go briefly back. Excuse me. I'm going to go back to public participation. If I missed someone, does anyone from the public have any additional comments? Okay, I guess that's not the case. Okay, so I'll go around the horn. Mr. Poliafico, any comments?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Cullen, any comments?
I just want to thank the school district for all the administration and all the people for all the hard work that they're doing. I understand the teachers are really working hard, and it's a big challenge for our school district, and I'm just happy that we have dedicated teachers and a great administration. And that's all I have.
Mr. D'Angelo.
Yeah, I just wanted to give an update. A few months ago, we refinanced some of our bonds, and the net savings to us, because we were able to do the deal, I believe it was in October, in November, $1,131,000. Today, what's been happening in the markets that had we refinanced it using a rate that we would get today, we would only gotten $900,000. So by squeezing the trigger on that deal, we are ahead of the game by almost $250,000. So good job by Chris, and a thanks to Mr. Truelove and his firm for helping us execute that transaction very quickly. And right now, it's saved us $250,000.
John, you need to thank yourself, or I'll thank you, because you were on that. You worked on that for almost a year. So thank you. And you were warning me that we should, back in September, like we had to keep our finger on it. You had your finger on it. So thanks for keeping your eye on that and making the school district and the town another 250,000. Great job, guys. Mr. Truelove, Chris, John. You guys were the front guys on that. Okay, Mr. DeMarcus is not. Mr. Parolo, any comments?
No, I'm all right.
Okay, Mr. Poplawski.
I think I probably do this every meeting, but you're in the after-school program every day after school. So just give all those that are working after school, after hours. I know like Mrs. Tyrell and Mr. DeLuca sometimes are on till like 5:30 at night. They do an amazing job. It's just a different outlet for the kids in addition to being in front of the computer screen. Gives them a little downtime and gets some energy out. I mean, they do yoga, they do science projects, so they're still learning, but it's just giving them an outlet while they're in quarantine and during this pandemic and everything else is going on. So thank you to those that are doing the after school program.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Poplawski. Mr. Rusin. John, yeah, you're on mute.
Yeah, I just want to let the parents know that I feel their pain about their children not coming back to school, the handicapped children and everything. And I only wish we could do more, but like you said, that we were looking out for the whole school and the teachers and everything like that, but believe me, they're on my mind. And I want to thank them for their concern. That's all.
Thank you, John. Mrs. Paglione.
Yes, I would like to say Happy New Year to everyone. And I just want to say that I know the Budget Committee will be meeting soon. So somewhere by the end of February, I'd like to have a curriculum meeting to, just go over with what our needs will be. So the Budget Committee can put that into the budget, like maybe any books that we're going to need for any of the curriculum, our technology, our gifted and enrichment program. So I'll be speaking to Dr. Minetti about a date, but it'll probably be the end of February.
Anything else, Mrs. Paglione?
No, that's it.
Oh, thank you, and that's a good idea. Okay, I'll be the last one here. I know these are difficult times, and we're all in a peculiar situation here, but I want to thank the parents who emailed me. I tried to answer most of them back, and I actually spoke to some of them on the phone, and their comments and their emails were gracious. They always started out by saying that they wouldn't want to be in any of our shoes. And they understand, that the decisions that we make, that we have to keep the whole town and the community. So I honor their emails, and if they ever need anything, email me again. I'll talk to them all. It's a difficult time here, but thank you for understanding. For the students and the parents at home, we're trying to do our best. I think you realize that. And as soon as we could get back into the classroom, whenever that happens, we will do that. Dr. Minetti, do you have anything? Dr. Minetti?
Oh, sorry, I had to turn my thing back up. No, I just want to wish everybody a happy new year. And I know some parents are disappointed that we're not coming back next week, but we're disappointed, and we really can't wait to have your kids back. They really do make that we are there why we're here, and they make every day just so much better. So, we are joyfully waiting for when they come back on the 20th, and we can't wait to see them all come in the doors with the smiles on their faces. So thanks for all your support, for everything that you do for the kids. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Minetti, and thank you for your comments and elaborating on, the pandemic committee and where we're at.
Mr. Ciccoletti, there's a comment from a parent in the chat. How often do we review going back to school? You want to answer that?
Yes, I thought I said that at the beginning, but I'll go over that, is that every time before a school board meeting, we will have a pandemic committee meeting, gather all the facts, present that to the whole board like we did tonight, and then decide what we want to do. So we're never more than 3 weeks out. Okay, so we know we're going back hybrid, and then we'll meet after that within 10 days. And then a recommendation will be made to the board, and then the board will decide what to do. The way that the school board meetings are set is the first and third Thursday of every month. So we could act quickly. If need be, we'll call a special meeting. But that's how it's laid out now. And I'll continue to have the 2 school board meetings, even if we really don't have an agenda, so that we could reach out, the public could reach out, we could listen to their concerns, tell them the reason why, we're going down the path that we are, explain things to the community, to the students, to the faculty. Is there anything else? Something's popping up here, Amanda Caputo, it's at the bottom of the screen, is there any way?
Dave, I'll read it for you. It says, what alternatives are being provided to students who cannot handle virtual therapies? I'm sure many parents are concerned about regression in those students.
I would ask those parents who are having these concerns, if you could please reach out to Damon Smith, Dr. Smith, regarding the concerns that you have, because I know that sometimes the teletherapy doesn't work so well with all the students. And if there is regression, then we're gonna have to provide services to make sure that kids get to where they need to be.
There's a lot of regression, and we've addressed this issue before. Again, Gina Bersani speaking. There's a lot of regression, and I talked to Damon about this before. I know that with speech therapy, with my daughter's in 4th grade, she didn't have any speech this whole year until recently, and now they're trying to make up. But all of these therapies that are, I know I'm speaking on a lot of the parents' behalves, but these services are, my daughter is on for a little bit, and then she got pulled today I had no idea, for speech therapy at 8:30, and then she had to log back in. Then she logs back out, but then I got an email from physical therapy that she wasn't partaking, but I didn't know about that. I wasn't even aware of that. But then I got an OT email saying that she needs to log on during academic time, or changed it to during lunchtime and work through lunch and making stuff up there. And it's just, I don't even know how that's possible or feasible for these kids. And I just don't know.
Dr. Benetti, she raises a good point there. So when we do go back hybrid, will these services be offered to the children inside the school?
Yes, we do have therapy inside.
Okay, is there any way we have COVID money? Is there any way we could double up on that?
We do have extra speech therapists that we hired to help make up for some of the time that the students have missed. So yes.
Okay. We could add to that, Gina. You said that there's OT, physical therapy, and speech therapy. So do we have 3 individuals? Do we have Dr. Manetti?
Yep. Let me talk to Damon and just see where we're at with it.
Okay.
Before I say anything that I'm not 100% sure of. And then Gina, I asked, could you please reach out to Dr. Smith and let him know, because I understand what happened today was probably very difficult having to make up all these things. It's just too much on top.
Oh yeah, this has been since we've been virtual.
Yeah, I get it. So can you please reach out to him, and because every parent, I know you have similar situations, but every IEP is specific. And so, please reach out to him and make sure that the services that you're entitled to in that IEP are being covered. And,
well, yeah, and they are, and they intend to be, but it's all covering during academic time, which I think is important too. I don't think academics should be replaced by doubling up services. It's like a lose-lose there.
Mm-hmm. I understand.
Hey, Dave, one thing.
So when
Yes.
When the students are in the building, when your daughter's in the building, when does she have her speech, OT, and PT therapy? During the
So-
school day?
It is during the school day. And I
So
know
she
she has
is-
a lot to make up, but they're trying to make it up during academic time or working through lunch. And Olivia's bouncing around with like 4 or 5 different people and then services on top of it. So it's kind of
Okay,
hard
so-
to keep up with any kind of virtual service without being on top of academic time, which I think is important.
I completely, I understand what it is you're saying. I think it needs to be addressed by the IEP team and to make sure that your daughter's getting the services that she needs through her.
And all the and all the kids. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not just my daughter. It's,
Sure, no, and I
a lot of
understand.
other kids.
I hesitate in talking about an individual student at a board meeting because it is something that needs to be addressed through the IEP.
Okay, so true, Dr. Minetti, I'm sorry that I let it go that far, Gina, but let's keep that stuff, the individual IPs amongst ourselves, but you could reach out to the director, Damon Smith, the principal, Dr. Minetti. You could also reach out to me if you have any questions.
Hey, Dave.
Yes,
Dave, I
Mr.
just want to
D'Angelo.
add one thing. I mean, that's one of the problems with deciding to go back or not, but I just want to tell Gina and all the other parents that once we get back, we're going to do a needs assessment with the IEP teams, and we're going to find out where each kid is, what each kid missed out on, and then figure out a way to deliver some type of catch-up services, whether it be in person, a combination of virtual. But once we get back on the 20th, that's going to be an important thing that we do. Hopefully, we're working with the parents. We can figure out what we missed, what was not provided, and then set up a plan. And that kind of meets what you're saying, Gina, is no, not changeable every day. Set up a concrete plan for each and every one of our kids that at least they know, and we can manage it. Okay, so that's definitely going to be one of the priorities that once we get everybody back, and then we can focus on that. And I give you, I know Dr. Minetti and Dr. Smith are dedicated to doing that, and I know the board is as well. So again, I feel your pain. It's going to be just one more week, right? And if you have any issues, please, like Dr. Minetti says, reach out. All you parents that have these issues, write them down. Let's get them. Let's figure out a way. Because look, now once we get back, we've got to figure out a way to get caught up, and we want to do that for you. Okay?
Yes. Okay, any other questions? I will put out tomorrow a list of new committees. I'll send that to Jennifer. I'll finish those up tonight. With no further business, could I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Mr.
I'll
Collins?
second it. I'll
Mr.
second it.
Rosen? Okay, everybody, thank you for participation. Stay safe.
Thank you.